Hello there. This is a quick comparison video of the original Black Series Stormtrooper, which you see here on the left, and comparing it to the new Black Series Stormtrooper from the latest wave. It's billed as the Mandalorian Stormtrooper. This is not meant to be a review of this new figure so much as a comparison of the differences between the new one and the original one. And this is the original sculpt that's been re-released a couple of times and is also the basis of the Black Series Sandtrooper that was released. The very first thing I want to look at, because I feel like I will lose them otherwise, is the blaster. This here is the blaster from the original release, which has been the same blaster mold that has been reused for essentially every Imperial figure that has been released. And this is from the new figure. As you can see, we've got a much bigger ammo magazine here, and we have some kind of light or targeting system on the side there. I believe this is specific to the Mandalorian appearance, because I don't recall this thing here or such a large mag from the original trilogy. The new blaster is slightly smaller than the old one. Just see them side to side here, if I can get the camera to focus properly. So this, I believe, the new one is more to scale, more to proper scale. Now, in terms of the major differences in the appearance of these two figures as opposed to, say, the articulation, the biggest ones are in the belt. You can see here, there's the circle in the center here, and the two very large ammo packs on either side of the belt on the original. And on the new guy, the spacing is narrower here, and the ammo pouches are significantly smaller. The other big change, we have here the holster, so that I don't actually lose the blaster. But on the new guy, no holster at all. Sorry for the jump cut there. I had a bit of a coughing fit that I didn't figure you guys would want to hear. So looking at these two side by side, you can see the original guy has kind of a football player, wide shoulders look to him, whereas the new one, more narrow, more appropriate for the way the Stormtroopers have looked throughout the years. None of them were built like linebackers. They were all relatively normally proportioned people. Also, the scale of the helmet, smaller on this. Again, probably more proportional. I feel like this one was scaled up slightly just because of how wide the shoulders ended up being. But I'm just guessing there. So we also have double jointed elbows here versus single jointed here. This actually isn't such a big deal. When it was originally announced that it would be single jointed, I was pretty unhappy because I love the double jointed elbows on this guy. Being able to hold his gun up to his eye like that so he can sight along the sights. That was one of my favorite features of this Stormtrooper. Anyone who's been on my Instagram account can attest to that. However, single jointed actually gets better bend to it than the double. So that's pretty impressive. Articulation is really one of the huge differences between these two. Aside from the single jointed elbows, it's also single jointed knees now. But again, it doesn't really hinder the articulation, because you still get a pretty good bend there, and you get the swivel, which helps with posing significantly. Actually makes it better for posing, to be honest, than the double jointed on the old guy, just because you do have that pivot, which obviously you can't have with double pins. The really exciting thing about this guy, in my opinion, is, don't know whether it's going to be able to pick it up on camera because it's all black material in there, but there is a butterfly joint in there So he can put his arm across his body somewhat, and obviously go out quite a bit. The other thing you'll notice is that this piece, the shoulder piece, is moving independently of the arm. It is actually, again, I'm not sure the camera will be able to pick this up, it is actually on a separate ring that sits between the shoulder peg and the butterfly joint. So, pretty sure this isn't going to show up, but so you've got the shoulder ball here, the shoulder joint is in there. Then you've got a ring in here between the shoulder ball and the butterfly joint that this is attached to. So I can actually show, so go up like this, and when it comes down, the shoulder doesn't come with it, but you can just gently slide the shoulder bell back around, and then you're back in position. So that's really cool. That's great for posing, because it keeps that realistic look, because, you know, in the movies, and obviously the show, when stormtroopers move their shoulders around, these don't stick to the upper arms like these ones do. But also, these ones, because they are attached here, that's about as high as you can go, unless, well, one man down. Unless you lift it up, you have to apply some heat to these, but you can get them to go over the strap here a little bit, but still, it doesn't have the same range of motion as our dead friend here, who can, I mean, can go all the way up to there, but again, he's got the butterfly here, can go all the way like that, all the way up, and then again, you just need to swing that back around. The other cool thing about this, that I actually didn't realize until I had them open, is the chest piece is a separate piece of plastic. It's soft plastic, so it doesn't hinder the articulation, but it's kind of a nice touch because you can adjust it if you get into poses where you need to slide it around a bit. Now the helmet, there's been a lot of talk about the helmet on the internet. The big thing being that a lot of them have come warped in the packaging. As you can see, I got pretty lucky. Mine is in decent shape. It's got a little bit of paint splash here on the brow, but in terms of shape, it's not bad. It's a little bit, I think, a little bit misshapen on this side, but not enough that I really care. I haven't opened my second one yet to take a look at it, but the reason for that is, as there's been a lot of talk online, like I said, reason for that is, come on, focus, you can see just in there, I think you can see it. Anyway, there is a head. There's a sculpted head underneath this helmet. It's unpainted. If you look up online, you will be able to see that it is actually a Temuera Morrison head sculpt under there, unpainted. And the going theory is that they put on these helmets prior to the plastic fully curing, so they were still soft, and the act of pushing the helmet onto the head deformed some of them. Like I said, mine's okay. The only thing that I feel is a little bit off with the helmet is it seems a little bit long, or deep, whatever. It seems like it should be a little bit narrower there. Because if you compare them, not that the original version is like massively screen accurate, but it just seems to have better proportions front to back. But this one does have a double jointed neck, which is great. So he's got a ball joint here, get my pointer. He's got a ball joint here going into the torso, and then he's also got a ball joint up in the helmet, so he can do all kinds of cool stuff. Look around. It's a really good sculpt. It's very crisp. Like if you compare this back piece to this one, it kind of makes this one look like a piece of Lego, to be honest with you. Actually, that thermal detonator is much more accurate too. That's kind of cool. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, so those are the big things, really. The fact that he's got the butterfly joints, the separate shoulder bell pieces, the great, despite it being single jointed, the great range of motion he's got on his elbows. I'm really impressed with these guys. I was actually pretty pissed because Amazon canceled my pre-order for these. I had some... Oh, they went online on Amazon Canada on, I think it was May 28th, and I placed my pre-order that day. And yeah, they canceled them, and I just happened to stumble across these guys at Walmart today. Today being September 5th. So I got lucky there. Anyways, so that's it for the comparison. I'll just do a couple of quick little poses to show you how his articulation goes in terms of getting poses. Just a basic stance. Quasi-running stance. It doesn't always balance in this pose because I have that back foot at an odd angle, but stands pretty well. Classic shooting pose. This is actually one of my favorites. Again, if you've seen my Instagram account, you already know this. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the big selling points of this figure is the fact that he can really take that shooting pose and make it work. And he can even going back a little further. You can even do the kneeling, take one knee to shoot your head off. And just because I've made such a big deal of the shooting pose for him, here's a comparison with the equivalent pose with the original Trooper. As you can see, the original Trooper is not bad, but this guy just makes it look so much more natural. Again, just the depth of that helmet bothers me a little bit, but not enough at all to really knock this figure down a peg. As much as I love the original Stormtroopers, and I mean, I do love this figure. I have 4 of these guys. I have 4 of the Sand Troopers, and then of course I've got the Han Solo one that I did the custom with. This is still a great figure, but in terms of posability and sculpt, even though it does have some problems, this figure is significantly better. And just like I said, look at that. Look at that shooting pose. That's just fantastic. Anyways, I'll just leave it at that for now. Hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully you get lucky and find some of these guys in the wild. I'm kind of wishing that I'd found more than 2.